What is the importance of good marketing in the ability to get the highest possible value for your home? It's an exciting day here on the Brian Hirsch Show. Well, what is up, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of the Brian Hirsch Show. I do apologize for not being able to produce a show last Monday. I was in a situation where I literally lost my voice. I could not talk. It would have sounded like, "Hey, everybody, how's it going?" It was really bad. So here we are today. The guest we had scheduled for last Monday, we've rescheduled for next Monday, and it will be an exciting time. And I hope this video finds you well, or this podcast finds you well, wherever you may be. Today, we're going to be talking about the importance of properly marketing your home so as to attain the best value for your home. Now, before we even dive into that, you need to know that in order to achieve our goal when selling your house, and that is to attain the highest possible price, secondly, in the shortest amount of time, and thirdly, with the least number of problems, you need to hire an experienced and skilled agent to represent you. Okay, well, the first portion of that, marketing your house properly. There's three things that need to happen in order to achieve our goal. And first, we got to market your house properly. Secondly, your house needs to be easy to show. And we'll talk about that some other time on another show. And then number three, it needs to be ready to move in. The combination of those three things will help us achieve attaining the highest possible price in the shortest amount of time with the least number of problems possible. Well, today we're going to be talking about that first method, that is marketing your home properly. And this is why you hire a professional to handle your real estate transaction. Now, here's what I know. There's three kinds of agents. There's amateurs, there's professionals, and there's pretenders. And the difference between the amateurs and the professionals are skills. And one of the other things that separates a professional agent from others is leverage. So for me personally, I've got a great escrow and title company. I've got a great couple of lenders that I work with. I've got a wonderful home inspector that I work with. I have a good handyman that I work with. I've got a great contractor that I work with. I have a good HVAC guy that I work with. I've got a roofer that I work with. I've got a septic people. All of these people, they know me. They answer the phone when I call, and we can provide excellent service for you. Well, among the many people in my sphere of people that I have leverage with and that I work with to help me is a wonderful photographer that does incredible work and has single-handedly, in many cases, contributed to the value in people's home. So I would like everybody to please welcome to today's edition of the Brian Hirsch Show, Ms. Christian Arias. What is
Hi,
up,
Brian.
Christian?
How are you? Thanks for that intro.
Yeah, so good to have you on today. And I like to have remarkable people on the show.
Thank you.
We don't want to have people that are blah, right? We want extraordinary people. Now, Christian, do you know the difference between ordinary and extraordinary?
Yes, it's very easy to visually see, obviously.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you my one-word definition. You ready?
Let's hear it.
It's the extra.
The extra, yep.
That's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. And you are extraordinary.
Oh.
And you and I have talked a little bit. The way I came to know you, Christian, was I had a photographer in my, list of my database who did drone work for me.
Mhm.
And not every house commands drone work, you know.
Right, right.
If it's a track house and the backyard's full of trash and it's like, oh, here's a view of all the trash in the backyard. I mean,
It
that's
won't
not.
benefit it. Nope.
But if it's an estate, out, with a couple acres of
Mhm.
land and it's beautifully and situated, drone work sometimes, or if it's on the lake or something like that. Well, and I don't know. I guess do you have to have some kind of licensing with the FCC to do
Yeah.
work?
Yeah,
Okay.
you do need a license to
Well,
fly.
his license had expired.
Okay.
And so he told me, "Hey, I'm, sorry, I can't do this one for you." And I was kind of like, "Uh-oh." This is probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago.
Mhm.
And so I put it out on Facebook, "Hey, looking for a photographer, in search of a photographer that can do some drone work." And there were multiple people that said Christian Arias, Christian Arias, Christian Arias, Christian Arias. And I thought, wow, okay. And a couple of them were some high-powered agents that I
Mhm.
know and respect. So that's how I reached out to you, and you have been just everything and more that I personally could ever ask for. You're always on time. A lot of times, artists, in case you didn't know this, sometimes artists are a little sloppy with the time and
Yeah.
schedules and deadlines, but you've always been just right on it, delivering incredible work at fair prices. And on top of that, as I've gotten to know you, you are an extraordinary woman.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
One of my favorite projects we did was the club when you went down there and
That was the
you
first time we met, actually, though.
yeah, in
That was the
person.
first time we met. Yeah.
Yeah. Before that, it was all text and
Yes, and
emails.
I remember your posts looking for a drone person because
Oh,
my
you
phone
do?
was blowing up.
Wow.
all the tags.
Because everybody tagged you. That's right.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
tell us, did you grow up in the high desert?
So I moved to the high desert when I was 11 from LA. It was a huge culture shock for me. So I started sixth grade out here and then completed all of middle school, high school. And then I left for 7 years. I went to college in Santa Barbara. I went to a nice private photography school out there and got my Bachelor of Arts in Photography. That's all I ever wanted to do. That was it. So once I did that, as soon as I graduated, I started an internship. And I was the grunt intern, cleaning up all the time. But I got an internship at this really cool glamour studio in LA.
Mm.
And it was like a top celebrity studio. So the photographer photographed them. And I started as an intern there and quickly moved my way up thanks to the lead photographer quitting. And I feel like that kind of really gave me a jump start in my career in that aspect in the entertainment industry. Went from intern, quickly led up to a paid assistant gig, and then lead assistant to the photographer. And then he opened up the opportunity to hire an associate photographer. And it was a role that I didn't feel comfortable taking because back then I was very timid, I was very shy, and I didn't feel confident that I would get the position. Even though being a photographer was always my dream, I never felt confident that I would actually do it as a career. So I did end up, doing some tests to show the photographer that I was interested in the associate photographer position, and I got it. So my career started in the entertainment industry, and now I'm here doing real
Wow.
estate. But that's where it all started when I was maybe 22. From maybe 2008 to 2014, it was all entertainment industry.
Wow.
So it was, celebrities, magazine covers, magazine spreads, reality shows. It was always high profile clients. And the
Mm.
way I got into real estate was when I ended up moving back to the desert in 2013. And at that time, I had a friend that was a broker, and she had reached out to me and said that she needed a photographer for headshots. And I said, okay, well, I photograph people. It's something I can do. And I started with that. And then one day she said, we have a house that needs photos. And I kind of freaked out. Back then there was no YouTube for me to quickly go get a tutorial on how to shoot. I was just Googling how to shoot real estate. What angles do I need to shoot? What camera do I need? What type of lens, you know? And I just quickly browsed and learned as much as I could and went to that first listing and shot. And just little by little, I started getting listings from that office. And then next thing you know how it is. As soon as you start working with one particular person, as soon as they start referring you or people see
Right.
that you work with them, it just kind of comes pouring down. You know, obviously you have to do a good job, but that's my business just grew from word of mouth, you know? And as I started getting busy with real estate, that's when I started like, I'm like, let me see who the top agents are in town. Like if I'm going to be shooting real estate, let me go after these top dogs. Let me go after the well-known people, because in my eyes, it was like, if you get in with certain people, that's what's going to help your business grow 100%, you know?
Right.
So that's how I kind of started in the whole real estate industry. I had zero experience. I just kind of got thrown into it. Is how I feel. I kind of call it like my happy accident, which I love. You know, I really love it now. And
Right.
and that's how it all started for me, to be honest.
Who was that? Can you tell us who the broker was, or you want to keep that confidential?
I'll keep that confidential, but I can
Okay.
tell you who was the one that kind of brought business coming into me, and that was Omar Alfaro.
Oh, sure.
So
Yeah.
I met him at my gym, and when he found out I was shooting real estate, he's like, "Oh, okay, I'll hire you." And at the time, I didn't really know who he was and anything. He was kind of starting out, also, like he wasn't even on his own yet. And as he grew, I felt like I kind of just grew with him.
Wow.
And he was one of those agents that when I would get a lot of calls from agents down the hill, they'd be like, "Who do you shoot for?" And as soon as I said his name, it always got me the job. So he was one
Wow.
of those that I kind of give a lot of credit to too. And I tell him all the time, he knows.
So, what kind of captured my interest in you sharing a little bit of your story there is that you're not only talented, you're formally trained.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that is probably also what helps set you apart from somebody who's just kind of throwing themselves out there. I'm sure that there's you have competitors
Mm-hmm.
that are trying to enter into that space
Yeah.
and peel off some of that market share, but you're actually formally trained in
Yeah.
photography. And is there a couple of things you can point to in your training that helps you maybe have a little bit of an edge over your competition, maybe a skill with shooting photos?
Honestly, what a lot of people don't know is how to work their camera.
Right.
Like, the first thing that I had to learn when I went to school was learning the technical side of it. Like, a
Right.
lot of people will say, "What kind of camera do I need?" But if you don't know how to work it,
Right.
it's going to be just as bad as shooting with a phone if you don't know how to work it, you know? So
Right.
if you can put your camera on manual mode and know how to work the technical side, you'll be able to get amazing photos. That's what a lot of people don't know how to do. So they're just kind of jumping in and thinking that the gear is gonna solve the problems when you have to know how to work it, you know?
Sure.
So that was
And
the big.
there's a whole a lexicon of terms that we don't use in, like aperture and depth
Yeah.
of field and exposure and all of
Mhm.
the stuff that most people you know they don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
So learning what that means and how to work it on it, that is a skill and it takes
Yeah.
practice. And somebody that's as highly skilled as you're quick, right? If
Mhm.
they don't know what they're doing, they're going to fumble it
Yeah.
out. Okay. So along the way, so you're saying that you moved back to the desert in 2013,
Yep, I did.
that you were 7 years doing an internship in the LA area.
I did an internship for 2 months and then graduated college and they hired me as a
Oh, okay.
second assistant. So I was bossed around constantly. I did all the grunt work. The
Yeah.
first to be there, the last to leave. So
And
it
that
was
was 7 years.
that was no, that was only I think that was 4 months until I moved up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So but I was with that company for a good 7 years. Yeah, with that
Gotcha.
student. Hmm.
Okay. And what prompted you to move back to the desert?
Unfortunately, a relationship. I ended up moving back to the desert because of a relationship, and then got a nice little surprise that I was pregnant.
Ah,
So, surprise, that was not in my plan. But you know what? I'm actually really glad it happened because when I found out I was pregnant is when I kind of turned everything around for me. I felt like I got very comfortable with the work I was getting in the entertainment industry was really coming to me. And I said, and I was working a 9 to 5 at that time too. I worked for this big beauty company in Valencia, which I actually started being a warehouse worker and moved my way up to a brand manager. So it was actually really cool working there because I had this really intimidating Italian boss that was very blunt. But I felt like with him, I learned how to work with people with really tough personalities, so I really appreciated working with him. And I decided to quit that job when I found out I was pregnant because I didn't want to have a boss controlling my schedule. And at that time, photography work wasn't really busy. So I said, I'm just going to figure it out. I know I want to be a photographer. At the time, my parents were letting me stay with them. And they said, figure it out while you're here. We'll help you as much as you can as far as like babysitting if you need, but your child's young enough that they won't remember you leaving. They're not going to remember you hustling out there. So my mom and my dad really pushed me to just hustle. They said, go after what you want. And then by the time my daughter was already big enough, I was more established, so it kind of worked out in that way. But that's how it worked for me. I quit my job and I just said, I'm going to do photography. I don't know whether it was going to be continue growing in the entertainment industry or what, but then real estate photography fell into my lap and I kind of been riding that wave.
So in some ways, a similar story to Missy.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that in the pre-show. Plenty of opportunity to use the, as you said, surprise as a reason to rest on your laurels, depend on somebody else, make excuses, and fail to realize the potential that God has put in you.
Yes.
But instead, against obstacles. So all of us have obstacles, Christian.
All of us.
Even if somebody, they'll look at me and say, well, you're just full of white privilege, right?
Right.
Trust me when I tell you, no matter the color of your skin, no matter where you grew up, life is full of obstacles.
Yes.
But for some, life has more obstacles. And in your case, you had your surprise and you had a relationship that, judging from how you've described it, you said it was unfortunate, didn't work out. No. And so you've got a number of things that are some difficulties to overcome. And yet to achieve, and we're so blessed to live in the United States.
Oh yeah.
In spite of all our flaws, because truthfully, the system is set up that if you are disciplined and you gain an education and a marketable skill and you develop that character of showing up, doing what you said you were going to do and adding value to somebody, you're going to be rewarded. Yes. And you are able to do that. And here you are, you have a beautiful home, you're remodeling, you've got a successful career, everybody knows you. I mean, it's amazing.
Oh, thank you. You know what? One thing that really I remember to this day, that my mentor, he was the photographer of that studio that I started with in LA. So he pretty much ended up being my mentor. The one thing that I remember to this day is he would always tell me, no matter who your client is, the experience always has to be the same. Like, that's what's going to sell you. It doesn't matter. I mean, your skill obviously matters, but people remember how they felt in their experience with you. So whether, it's an agent that produces one listing a year, or I'm shooting, Aaron Kerman in LA, like, you treat them all the same. And that experience, I think, is what's going to draw people back to you. And then obviously you produce good work, you're on time, like you said. And it's funny that you brought up that whole artist being late because I used to actually hire somebody to shoot for me at times, and they're always late. I ended up having to fire them because it was starting to make me look bad. I said, this is a job. I know we're artists, but this is a job. We have to be on time. We have to give them a good experience, or we lose the client, because that's what I hear a lot with people. So that was one thing that he told me, and I just have never got that out of my head. So I really appreciate him for that.
Amazing. So let's talk about the importance of quality photos as it pertains to real estate marketing. I mean, there's kind of two components to it. A professional agent is going to enter the listing professionally.
Mhm.
And that usually means good. They know what they're doing. They know how to handle the MLS, and they've got good writing skills to be able
Mhm.
to describe, the
Yeah.
property. But those things, as important as they are less important than those photos. I mean,
Mm.
the number one thing in marketing the house and making it attractive to the consumer is photography. You and
Yeah.
I talked briefly in the pre-show about, the evolution, how 10 years ago, this wasn't nearly the deal it is now.
Mhm.
Back then, I would say 8 out of every 10 were poorly marketed vis-a-vis their photos.
Mhm. Yeah.
Today, it's probably the other way around.
Yes.
About 8 out of 10 are marketed well.
Mhm.
Now, that means two things. Number one, it stings for me because I'm not as distinguished in the market as I was 10 years ago.
Mhm.
But it also has been such a benefit to the sellers that
Mhm.
their house, because it brings value.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about that in your own experience, both on maybe both sides, because you bought your home, I presume.
Yeah. It's
Maybe
funny
your own
because I actually
experience in
shot
talking.
my home.
Oh, you
I shot
did?
it for the agent, not
Wow.
realizing I was gonna buy it.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, the marketing was great then. If you,
If I bought it, yes. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I did end up shooting that. But it's funny that you bring up like 10 years ago because when I started in real estate, it was 8 years ago,
uh,
real estate photography. And at the time, I mean, I don't really know if it was just me not being experienced and not really being in the, being out there just yet that I wasn't shooting as much. But there's those agents that would pick and choose when professional photography was needed, like if it's a really high end one, if it wasn't, they wouldn't. But now I have those clients that it doesn't matter
right,
the price, it doesn't matter the condition.
right.
They send me to every single one. So I kind of shoot the ugly and I shoot really beautiful homes, and I think both, it's going to bring the value to the potential buyer regardless, because you want to be able to see what that property looks like.
Right.
And having good photos of a bad property still helps. One thing that I noticed too, I had a client, and I'm really glad that she said this. She's like, the house is really ugly. Shoot everything. I don't want a potential buyer to come and be surprised because we're, you know, only showing the best with the pictures, because we like things really pretty and make it look beautiful, but you don't want to deceive either. So if you just showcase it as it is and give them good photos to look at, I think it benefits.
Sure does. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we're all on the other end of that, and even as an agent,
Mhm.
I find myself, it's subconsciously, I think, but when I'm reviewing the list of
Mhm.
homes that a buyer has sent me. So for the for the listener and for the watcher here, to give you the inside baseball. When I get a listing, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my inspection, and we're going to do all the paperwork, fill out all the contract and all the supporting documents. We're going to enter the listing, okay, and then we're going to upload the marketing photos. So
Mhm.
I say, Christian, we got a listing, and she goes out, she shoots the pictures, she sends them to me. I've got the pictures, and we upload the marketing photos.
Mhm.
Once that happens, nowadays it's fast. It used to be it was like 24, 48 hours later.
Mhm.
Now it's more like, 10 or 15 minutes
Yeah.
after that you go live,
Mhm.
that it goes to all the sites.
Yeah.
Zillow, realtor.com, Redfin, Hotpads, you name the site, it hits all those sites.
Yeah.
So then once I have a buyer that says, we want to buy a house in Hesperia, we'd like to live on the Mesa, we want to spend 400,000, we need at least 3 beds, 2 baths, 1,500 square feet, blah blah blah. I'll set them up on a portal. You know what a portal is, right? Where
No.
through the MLS, you go
Okay.
in and say, Christian, this is, and you set the parameters, and then they're getting an email, and every time a house
Oh,
goes
okay,
to
got it.
market, they get the email, which I think Zillow does something similar to that.
Okay.
It's just not the MLS; it's coming from Zillow. Um, and then they'll pick out the 7 or 8 homes. Okay,
Mhm.
so then I pull the 7 or 8 homes, and the houses that are marketed well, even as the agent, I'm like kind of more excited about those houses.
Yeah.
And you would think I would be, anesthetized from being excited about anything, but you're just like, yeah, that looks like. If for nothing else, I know that if it's marketed well, the likelihood is that the agent representing the seller is a pro, and they're going to
Yes.
be easier to work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
But we've all been on the other end, right? It's clickbait. That's what I call it. Clickbait,
Hey, it
right?
works, right?
We like that one. And
Yeah.
the techniques of using HDR, and she
Mhm.
talked about how even if it's on a horrible day, you can use Photoshop to make it look like a
Yeah.
good day.
Well, yeah, I was telling you that I always tell people do not cancel a photo shoot because it's not a sunny day. Like a blue sky could be put in. I know how to use my camera to make a dark room, make it look right. You know what I mean? Like we know, or at least I know all the techniques, the technical side of it, and that's
Right.
a benefit. But yeah, otherwise, if you're gonna look at an ugly day and be like, let's wait for a sunny day, I mean, I wouldn't be shooting every day like I do right now.
How about an ugly yard? You can make it a pretty yard.
You can remove junk, you can make the grass greener. I mean, you can do
Yeah.
anything. You can empty out
Yeah.
rooms completely.
Yeah.
There's so much now.
Yeah. Do you have the ability to do that staging?
Virtual staging, yes, and
You
that's something
do?
that's become really popular lately.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had some new construction up in Apple Valley, and I didn't know that you
Mm-hmm.
had that ability, but
Yeah.
some guy from somewhere, I don't even know
Yeah.
where, hit me up
Mm-hmm.
and said, "Hey, we can do virtual staging."
Yeah.
And so I went in and did that, and you know what it did? It creates some things. So if you got a house that's, I mean, can you really? I mean, can you take a room that's cluttered and looks bad, and you can clean it up and make it look good?
You can make it a completely empty room. I mean, obviously, all those things are extra fees, but it's as far as you want to go. Sometimes when there's a homeowner there, you can't really control their version of clean. You just go. It's true though. I mean, we all have our own versions, and
Oh
all the
yeah,
agent can do is tell them, "Please clean up," and
right,
we show up, and it's like, okay, let's just do the best we can do here.
right. Wow. Okay, that's good to know, Christian. So
Uh,
a couple more questions for you before we get you out of here. What's the most famous person? Who is the most famous person that you worked with or for?
Oh my goodness, it's been a few. I probably the most well known would be the Kardashians. That was one of my first reality shows I was on. Was that, and I think I've been on it 2 or 3 times. I've been on their
You
show.
were on the show?
Yeah, the last time I was fully pregnant, so my daughter was on it too.
What, really?
Yeah, I was
Uh,
photographing.
who were you on the show? I mean, just as one of the
I was
photographers?
as a photographer, yeah. So I was hired to photograph Kris Jenner, and there I was with my big old 9-month belly, photographing her. And
Oh,
then obviously all the Kardashians, I've met them plenty of times when I was an assistant and then also shooting. A favorite was Kevin Hart, obviously. He's
wow.
another big one. And then like comedian Chris D'Elia. There's been quite a few. And then right now, I mean, the top agent in LA, Aaron Kerman, so he's top luxury agent. And I've been working with him for the past couple of years now too, photographing him for his marketing that he does for magazines and his listings and things like that. But it's pictures of him, not his listings.
Yeah,
So,
the one house you had posted down there in Los Angeles, it was, how much was it? $7 million, or
oh my God, which one?
it was the
Well, I
one
mean,
that
he
had the
sold the
pool that
world's
went
most
all the way,
expensive.
or maybe it's more than that, but there was the
It was,
pool that went all the way around the house.
oh, that was called The One.
The
So
one.
I think
Yeah.
it sold for 129 million. How many of us do we need to buy that together, right?
Oh my goodness gracious.
So it
And
was
the pictures
amazing.
of that house were phenomenal, but you didn't take the pictures of the house. You
No, I did
the
not take
marketing.
pictures of the house. I took pictures of him. So basically, he hires me. I meet up with him at one of his listings, and I photograph him throughout the house, and he uses that for his marketing.
Gotcha.
So that's how we shoot, and I'm really grateful for that relationship with him.
All right. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, Christian, we've got your information down there, but
Mhm.
they're wanting to do, whether it's real estate photography, if they're wanting to do pictures of their family or
Mhm.
whatever, how do they contact you?
I'm one of those people. The easiest way to get a hold of me is through text. You're going to get a quick response. So I'll leave you with my number, which is 760-887-1725. You can email me, you can give me a call, but text is obviously the quickest way you're going to get a hold of me.
Christian, you're just fabulous, and
Oh,
an inspiration, to me personally, and to everybody watching and listening today. So thank you so much for joining us.
thank you. Thanks, Brian.
Have an awesome day.
Bye.
There she is. Wow. Yet another story of dedication, and Christian's just a wonderful woman. So thanks to her for coming. All right, let's get to it. Today's market update. This is the week of April 3rd, 2023. We didn't have a market update last week, so the week over week data is actually 2 weeks old. So bear that in mind. Again, this is Victorville, Apple Valley, Hesperia, Adelanto, Phelan, and Oak Hills. In the last 30 days, we've moved 302 single family residences, and the median sale price for those 30 homes is $395,500. If you take a look at those numbers year over year, so the same period 1 year ago, this is the cusp of the spring market when things start picking up. And things were moving a little faster a year ago at 351 homes at a median sale price of $415. So, what is impacting that, of course, is affordability. 1 year ago, rates were probably around 4%. Today, as you can see from Pride Stromset, this is for an FHA fixed 30 years. If you have a 660 mid FICO score, you're looking at 5.5% or so on your FHA loan. So, probably at a 1.5 points higher. And that impacts both our absorption rate, how fast the homes sell, and our median sale price. So we're down 1 year later, 14%. So we moved 14% less homes this month than we did 1 year ago. And we're down almost 5% in our value. And again, while some people may look at that and say, the sky's falling, like this is horrible, we're down 5% from when the homes were a lot more affordable. So what this tells us is that the market is resilient and it's moving. It is moving. So we look at in escrow, we have 537 homes. Well, that's up 2% from 2 weeks ago. So the houses are starting to sell. And we've got, this is the number that just absolutely, I mean, truthfully, it kind of freaks me out a little bit. 679 homes listed for sale. Again, to give you context, what we'd like to see is somewhere around 1,500 to 2,000 homes. So we're down 2/3 of the store being stocked, the shelves being full. That's down 5% from 2 weeks ago. So the buyers have acted first. They're buying homes. It appears as though the market has accepted that the 5.5% interest rates are the new normal, and they are engaged and purchasing homes. Obviously, if a house is priced around that median sale price, that would be, say 375 to 400,000, they're going to move the fastest. And so if you're thinking of selling your house, now's the time to act. If you're thinking of buying a home, what you can expect now, especially if it's in a nice area, it's well marketed, like from somebody like Christian, it's presented well, it's in good shape. You can now expect multiple offers. In fact, I have a listing out in Adelanto that I am not exaggerating. I've had listed for 9 months, y'all. 9 months. And it has sat there month after month after month. I think it's listed at 400,000, right around that median sale price. Guess what happened this weekend? 2 offers. We now have multiple offers on that listing. So buyers, you need to begin to adjust your expectations. It wasn't that long ago that you come to the market and say, I'm going to lowball, I'm going to get concessions and so on and so forth. But all of those things go out the window once you have multiple offers. And again, our current interest rates, 5.5 to 5.625%. So it appears as though we are on the cusp of the spring market where homes are starting to move. And so if you're ready to make a move, now's the time to do it. All right, let's get to check this out. The segment that I try to just do something to add value. I found this from another podcast that I listen to. It's called Locked On Dodgers. So if you're a Dodger fan, go to Locked On Dodgers, listen to the podcast. They give great content. And these guys turned me on to this product called Built Bar. And so I was like, all right, I'll check it out because, in January, I trimmed down. I lost about 15 pounds, trimmed down, and I'd like to not put the weight back on. But I got to confess to you guys, I have the biggest sweet tooth ever. Like, I love snacks and I love to just grab stuff. And so they mentioned this company, Built Bar, that make these nutritional bars that you can either buy from their website, built.com, or you can go to Walmart. And I was shocked. If you've ever had a protein bar, most of the time they're NASTY. They ain't got no alibi. They're nasty, like gross. These things are freaking good. I mean, they are really good. You feel like you're not eating a nutritional bar. You feel like you're eating a candy bar. And so, go to Walmart, pick some up. I think they have them in Sam's Club too. And, whatever. So for the show, we'd love for you to like, share, and subscribe. This helps expand the show, get more people involved. And so for now, we're signing off. We love all of y'all. We're serving your dreams. And until next week, we'll see you on The Brian Hirsch Show.